Hello, listeners. I'm Hendaleva, manager of podcasts and audio here at Race Forward, and you're listening to Momentum, a Race Forward podcast. Last month, Race Forward hosted Facing Race, a national conference, the largest multiracial, intergenerational racial justice gathering in the country. More than 4,000 community organizers, activists, and movement leaders gathered with us in St. Louis to share strategies and build collective power for advancing racial justice. In this special bonus episode of Momentum, we are sharing one of the conference's standout plenaries, navigating the post-election landscape, insights and strategies for a just democracy. With the 2024 presidential election behind us, the question on everyone's mind was, what's next? This inspiring discussion featured leading voices in political organizing and movement building. Together, they explored opportunities for progress arising from the election results, strategies to tackle the challenges ahead, and ways to foster resilience, safety, and hope as we continue the movement to build a multiracial democracy over the next 4 years. The conversation was moderated by Judith Brown Dianis, Executive Director of the Advancement Project, and panelists were Maurice Mitchell, National Director of the Working Families Party, Kim Desmond, Chief Equity Officer at the International City/County Management Association, the ICMA, Kim Anderson, Executive Director of the National Education Association, NEA, Sion Wald-Michael, Executive Director of the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities, the PCAH. So with that, let's dive into this critical and timely dialogue from Facing Race, a national conference.
Kim D, let's talk about what the potential implications and consequences are. You work with folks who are at a more local level. Want to talk about that, and then we'll kind of go from local to national.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. And I want to start out with saying the implications is to first and foremost to recognize that let us not let this political moment interrupt the movement, right? Let us not let the political moment interrupt the movement. And on the local level, there is movement making that is happening around the country in various regions. And so wanted to start out by saying that, like, let us keep our eyes on the movement. And I know for certain doing equity work, whether you are in these local government systems as a practitioner, or if you are working with nonprofit organizations or an advocate or even a funder, the work can be frustrating and it can also cultivate a level of anger. That's just the reality of it. I want to name the frustration and I want to name the anger for folks who are in the work every day. That's a real thing. It's a constant state of anger, I'll tell you right now. And with that, as I have sat with personally myself, like working with multiple cities around the country, I had to ask myself, anger for me and frustration is an expression of grief. In that, for me, it's grieving the audacity for our country to expect us to believe in a bold lie that there are no inequitable systems. That's just a lie. We know for a fact that these systems are not equitable, which is why we are a part of the movement. And so for me, in terms of implications, I've been sitting with a lot of just advice from our ancestors. And I want to start out with just advice from Audre Lorde around saying that people who experience oppression are first to learn the language of their oppressors to survive. But Audre Lorde also said that the oppressors will use language as a tool to maintain power to evade responsibility. So the implication on the local level, if you are a practitioner, is to use the language to educate folks to say, here is what we mean when we say equity plans. That may mean jargon for a lot of folks, but the equity plans are really created in terms of implication to let you know we're out here trying to address the failures in levees and dams, right? These plans are created to look at the structural defects in levees and dams that most certainly, when they break, not if, but when, they're gonna flood the areas where it was historically red light neighborhoods. And so the folks who are doing the work in those government systems, pay close attention to using language to identify the intention of these plans structurally, which then is used to lead and guide the budget allocations on the local government level. A lot of folks don't recognize or know the work of local government. Let us use that language as a tool, as an implication to inform folks. And in solidarity, we then say, if you're in the system as a local government employee, we can only go so far. I've worked in these systems. There's a handoff to say, now you go back and use these tools to force accountability, to expose the lies, to make sure that we're making the decisions to create the equitable outcomes. And so not only is it our levees and our dams, it's our parks, it's our sewer systems, it's the sinkholes that you hope your car don't fall in if you're driving down the street one day. These are all things that your local government is responsible for. And so if you're working within this movement, it's important to understand the collaboration that has to occur for the work to emerge, to really get towards the outcomes. And so for me personally, I'm on a mission to make sure that folks know that when I say equity, when I say solidarity, I mean, I'm gonna make it visible. I'm gonna give you the tools and the language around saying, here's how these decisions are made, and here's when they're made, so that way you can go back and say, I need and I command for more to occur to make sure we're addressing the failures in a system that was designed to not serve us.
Thank you. So, Kim, I want you to address two things, right? The implications for education. He has vowed to take out the Department of Education, just gone. And we also know that what's probably coming is that with the move for mass deportations, that I expect that they're going to start taking children out of classrooms. Not, in the past it was the parents at workplace raids, right? And they've been hands off of the schools, but they don't care about the Constitution. And they will say afterwards, sue us, so what? Because we got this on lock. Not only do we have a trifecta, but we also have the Supreme Court. So see you in court. Right. And labor, right? Unions are going to be under attack. So just talk some about what you think you're going to be seeing and up against.
So the first piece of guidance I gave our folks internally across the union was, believe Donald Trump when he says what he wants to do. His rhetoric is his policy. The Project 2025, 900-page word vomit of attack is their playbook, and they're already deep in it, even before he has taken office.
And Agenda 47. Folks need, if you have not seen the videos, oh Lord, correct, of him talking about his agenda on Agenda 47, please do check that out.
Right. So I think we are hearing one of the first questions that our members started raising after the election results came in was, how do we protect our students? That was the first thing out of educators' mouths is, oh my God, how do we protect our students? And so the deportation issue is very real. We have lots of lawyers, but to your point, that is an after-the-fact remedy, right? And so we are in conversation now with the school boards folks and the administrators, et cetera, to figure out how local officials can be the bulwark against authoritarian, militaristic takeover of our country, and one of the demonstrations of that being mass deportation. So, our members, the first time around in Trump 1, when there were workplace ICE raids in meatpacking facilities, they would take children home with them. I am worried that that is not going to be an option, to your point. And so what do we do on the school facilities, and how do we protect those school facilities from that kind of abuse? So that's a very real fear, in addition to all of the other attacks, right? The sexism, the homophobia, the xenophobia, et cetera. The divide and conquer tactic is alive and well. That is the recipe and the formula, as we have seen in hundreds and hundreds of years in authoritarian regimes. The other big concern is that of privatization. Don't be confused when Trump gets on and says, oh, we want to invest in career tech and we want to just block grant stuff and send it down to the states and all that. When you hear the words block grant, I want you to understand that that means the federal role in protecting civil rights of students is gone. That's what that means. That means that all those red states out there can do whatever the hell they want with the money, including give it all away to wealthy families who are already putting their students and their children in private schools. Do you know that on average, in states that have enacted voucher programs, about 75% of the voucher recipients were already in private schools? So this is the playbook to dismantle a common good, a public education system that is actually the foundation of our democracy because of its role to inform our citizenry, because of its role to help our students thrive and live into their brilliance, and to be seen and to be safe and to be valued. And so that is a huge concern, is the dismantling of public education, either by one fell swoop that he would try, or death by 1,000 cuts. So we're gearing up. One of the things I'm most proud about, we can talk about this later too, but one of the things I'm most proud about is NEA has stood together with Race Forward is a member of the Heal Together Coalition. And the Heal Together Coalition has a training effort called Public School Strong. I have my button here, and we have a QR code apparently that's going to be shown later, where we will train anybody who wants to know how to walk into a school board meeting and challenge things like book bans and censorship and vouchers. And,
it's up there now. Yay. It's up there now. Get that QR code.
Hey, grab the QR code. We have virtual trainings open to anybody who wants to be able to stand up for public education. Once a month, just grab the QR code and join the movement. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank James Haslam for his devout leadership and partnership.
Thanks.
Oh, and labor unions.
Yeah, you didn't talk about labor, but
labor unions are under assault. They'll continue to be under assault. Okay. They will try to dismantle things like collective bargaining. They will try to get at us in terms of the ways we collect dues and things like that. So that's same shit every day.
NLRB will change 100% if it exists. Okay.
Yeah.
Mo, what are the implications especially for our people?
The implications are hard to fully wrap our heads around, because if we remember 2016 going into 2017, one of the things we know they're going to do, and it's apparent based on how they're choosing cabinet appointments, right, is that they're going to try to flood the gates. They'll flood the gates. They'll want us to be in a reactive position where we're responding. They'll put fires out, they'll set fires, and then we will instinctively attempt to put those fires out. And as long as we're in that posture, then we very much are playing their game of being reactive, of not being proactive. And the chaos is actually a strategy of authoritarians. It's not something specific to MAGA or Donald Trump. And so we should be keen to that, right? And part of our job is figuring out in this moment how we're not bit players in their story. And what I mean by that is, how are we not reliably, when they set fires, putting them out in the manner in which they want us to put them out? How are we not taking their bait? How are we not activist leader number one in a Steve Bannon or Steve Miller produced and written docudrama? How are we in a moment when, yes, we lost some elections, having the confidence in our movement to write our own story, right? So even amidst all of their attacks,
that's gonna be hard, Mo.
It will be hard, but it's the assignment, right? Because if all we're able to do is to be in a defensive posture, then we will run from one defensive fight to another defensive fight and slowly lose power, right? And so, yes, I'm not claim no easy victories, tell no lies. The road ahead is not going to be easy, but it requires us to pick and choose both the defensive fights that we believe will allow us to expand our power and also heighten the contradictions. There will be huge class contradictions because for a lot of people, they believed the lie that Donald Trump is going to be good for them, good for the economy.
7 bankruptcies.
Right? And so there will be opportunities from day one, already opportunities where the class contradictions specifically are going to be heightened, where it's going to be apparent that he'll be doing things that will serve the oligarchy and not serve everyday people. It's our job to make those things apparent. They won't be apparent unless we force the question.
This isn't on the script, but yeah. Okay, so that may happen, and people were like, I'm voting for him because he signed my stimmy. He gave me a stimmy. And the reason they said that was because while he's doing those things and he's creating chaos, he's also, as crazy and, people might think he's stupid, he's a master marketer, right? He is the best con man. So he's going to, at the same time, be telling people, I did something for you. That stuck with them, that he signed a stimmy. All he did was sign the stimmy. That was it. And they took the bait on that.
And we could, look, it goes back to Kim's point, actually. So, Kim, you talked about the rising percentage of labor unionists that chose freedom and chose democracy again and again and again, which is why they fight labor unions, right? It's not, right? They're doing it for a political purpose. There will be misinformation and disinformation. There'll be a lot of it. We didn't get here overnight where they have all of these properties that are spreading lies all throughout our communities. We're not going to get out of it overnight, but the thing I want to be clear about is that you don't fight misinformation simply with better information. You fight misinformation with solidarity. Yes. You fight misinformation with organizing, right? And so the work that we have to do is work that, frankly, we should have been doing for decades, and some of us have been, but now we need to focus like a laser on it. And look, some people are going to be focused on the 2026 question, which is like, all right, well, how do we win enough elections to flip the House and that's all good and fine, and it's an important focus. But there's a way that you could focus on that, and you don't focus on the question, which is how do we build organization, solidarity, and relationships and deep trust that could protect us from these lies and that could project for us what our positive vision is. Because if our vision simply is, and we have to defend against fascism, if our fight is simply a fight against something and never for something, we're going to continue to lose our people. And our people aren't simply going to the far right. Yeah. You talked about the tens of millions of people that didn't show up. We will continue to lose our people. Understandably, our people will assess, I think correctly, all right, I agree with you on these issues, but I don't believe you when you say, join me and I'm going to fight for you. That is the fundamental issue. There's a break in trust. There's a deep break in trust in the establishment, in the political establishment, in the two-party system, in the Democratic Party, in institutions in general, which means all of the institutions, including the Working Families Party and many of the organizations that you might be a part of. And that break in trust needs to be healed. And that healing is not going to happen overnight or ready-made for an election cycle. We need to fundamentally focus on building that over decades so that we could be able to lead this realignment that's taking place. And so we got to start now. We can't take the bait. every time they try to set a fire. And the way that we do that is by having our North Star. They have a North Star. They have ideology. They've built institutions. They've built organization. It's time that we do that, which means we're going to suffer some losses along the way, but ultimately we will build something that will allow us to lead because we do have the majority. Our issues win again and again and again. Our people are resilient. We weren't outvoted, we were out-organized.
Thank you for listening to this bonus episode of Momentum, a Race Forward podcast. As we wrap up 2024, let's be reminded that while we are headed into some challenging years ahead, we cannot and we will not give up hope. Our ancestors faced even greater struggles, yet they never stopped fighting, and neither will we stop fighting for what we know is possible. All of the episodes of Momentum, a Race Forward podcast are available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you for all of your support throughout the year, and we look forward to the important work we'll do together in 2025. Until then, let's keep the momentum going.